Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back with Pryde Athletics and, of course, physical therapy. Ivan Ankwatsa joining us. And I want to point out the fact that he's here to help you. And now is the time. And it's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to have pride and to really start living the best life that you can, because that's what Mr. Ankwatsa does. And he helps individuals all over the world do this. So welcome back to the show today. And just to start off, it's prydeathletics.com. That's PRYDE athletics.com. So good morning to you.
Good morning, Joe. Great to be here. We're excited. It's one of these things where it gets easier, I think, now that we're in a couple of sessions and I'm really weathered and talking to you.
Weathered. You don't know weathered. No, you're a great speaker, but no, we've got to know each other very well. But I also have to remember that there's new listeners each and every week. So I always have to establish, a little bit about yourself, what you do, and then we'll take today's conversation from there.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm Ivan Ankwatsa. I'm from Pryde Physical Therapy. We actually have a physical therapy clinic that also has an integrated fitness facility. And our goal is to really help people live the best quality of life, whether they're starting from an injury perspective and they're trying to get back to fitness, or they're in a fitness mindset and they're coming in trying to get into the best shape of their lives, but yet prevent injuries. We yo-yo between health education, physical therapy, and also performance and wellness training, just to help people optimally achieve their goals. So our goal here is to utilize through the physical therapy aspect of things, the physical wellness aspect of things, the same philosophies, or really both of the philosophies, to get to the best goal and helping people feel good.
So, good. And where are you based out of?
We're located in Canton, Michigan.
Perfect.
Canton, southeastern Michigan.
Awesome. Well, it's exciting to have you here. Let me ask you what today's topic and area of focus is for everyone.
So an area of focus, today we were just recapping a little bit of the continuum of care model that we offer, and really trying to go through, how we train young people, the mental wellness aspect of things. And then I want to talk more so in the end about like how people can come to see us, and some of the options that they have as it pertains to getting our services.
All right, let's begin, darling. Go for it.
So just really to explain the philosophy, as I touched on the introduction, we look to really integrate the wellness aspect into every physical therapy session that we're doing. We call this the continuum of care model. And in the continuum of care model, we basically have inputs where people will come into, and these on-ramps can be performance training, they can be wellness training, it could be an acute injury, or someone who actually is not an acute, but maybe started working out, and 4 weeks in, they tweak their back. The key there is we take these inputs and we start breaking down, why do these things happen, and then how to prevent them. So from there, the different inputs can lead us to different solutions. And our goal is to provide good solutions for people in those different categories as they're coming in, but then not just stop at the physical therapy aspect or the performance aspect, but get them to this optimum health being, to the point which they don't necessarily have to really risk injury. They're operating in this high performance aspect of life. And this high performance does not mean that you're an athlete. High performance could be, you're a mom or a dad who's getting back to a wellness, but you find that high performance number for your age that you're at, for your abilities. We work a lot with people that have disabilities, people that, have been in traumatic accidents. And even in that situation, you find the optimal category or level of being for that individual. So then they can take care of themselves or help take care of themselves and then really feel empowered. And I think our philosophy really is based on empowering people so that they live the best quality life they can for whatever circumstance they're dealt.
Oh, wonderful. Well, exciting to have you here and to talk about these things. And for example, you work with, by the way, females, males. Do you have
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And what would you say is most important, as far as getting started to feel your best? What are some of the type of things that you suggest?
So as people are getting started, we will come in and we have different evaluative tools. Whether it's physical therapy, they have intake formats that they put in and kind of describe their injuries, where they're starting out, and then assess goals. Where do they want to go? We do pain risk analysis. On the fitness side, I mean, a lot of times we start with our body composition measurements. We have one of the best body composition machines on the market. It's
Hmm.
pharmaceutical grade. And when we set the composition, it really breaks down into adipose tissue, whether it's how much muscle mass you have, and then even down to the dehydration factors of someone's body. So once we have all this
Yep.
aggregated data, we then can really set realistic plans for people to then really see the numbers. And sometimes I think most fitness places, they're motivated by, hey, you look good, you've lost weight. But for us, in a sense, we want to get into the granular sense and say, hey, you've lost X amount of fat, and you've put on X amount of muscle mass, and hey, your hydration has improved by I don't know, 3 or 4 pounds of water. And on the other side is your visceral fat has decreased. And when people see these numbers, they get more driven because they can see actual tangible data. So the best way to start is getting a good evaluation. And even on that too, we do some physical factors. How many push-ups can you do? How far can you run? Bench press tests, squat tests, and different things like that. So people actually get then some weight goals and successes.
Got it. And unfortunately, I don't have our notes yet. I apologize. They
No,
were
it's
sent
okay.
to me, they said, but they're still not in my email. So I
No, you're
apologize.
all
So
right.
please, would you mind walking us through the next part of what we're supposed to be talking about for now? Thank
Yeah.
you.
So now, as we speak about the the fitness and wellness aspect and kind of blending them together, we look at just the missing pieces as to what
Hmm.
we're trying to address. Our goal is to figure out all the links in that physical wellness scheme and where the system is missing. And I think us being proactive in the post recovery space is one of the things that makes us a little bit different from normal clinics. And it differentiates us in the sense that we plug our expertise into bridging the gap between ultimate wellness and fitness and then the end of physical therapy. There's a huge hole. Once someone right now is discharged from physical therapy, it's basic. Can you
Okay.
wash? Can you take care of yourself? But a lot of times we want to get to that performance aspect of life where I want to do the things I could do before I got injured. And that's really where we're really fitting in our niche of pulse rehabilitation.
And what is it called?
Um,
Would you say
post
pulse
post,
rehabilitation?
yeah,
Post.
post.
Okay. I'm like, pulse? Maybe
Yeah,
is that like there's a whole nother
no,
concept. I don't
no,
know about that. I'm like, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Great.
post rehabilitation. Yeah.
Got it.
So, and I think with post rehabilitation though too, it's really an imperative. I think that um, our goal ultimately is to get to the point where we can get insurance providers to take care of this. So as our company is doing, we're getting we're putting together data. We're looking at talking to the right people. So if you know any people that are movers and shakers in the world, let them know, because it's something that people should have that's covered so they can get back to where they were. I mean, if your car gets damaged in a car accident, I mean, you want it back to the way it was looking, and our insurance policies provided, a way for that to happen. But with our bodies, it's almost like we're getting to the bare minimums of excellence. And people generally want to feel better than they were, or in our aspect, we want to push them to feel amazing, and then look at the risk factors to try to negate future injuries.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know because now you've been doing this for how long?
So yeah, so I've been in the industry for about 17 years. I started really, really young, right out of college. But specifically with the company, we started the company 8 years ago. And then we started physical therapy about 2 years ago. So our physical therapy attempt at first was more of a collaboration with another clinic. It didn't quite work out because, again, philosophies didn't match. And then we just moved towards, our own vision and brand, and we started our own physical therapy about a year and a half ago.
Got it. Well, it's
Yeah.
exciting to have you. If we want to reach out to you, go to the website and social media. Could you share the page with us one more time?
Prydeathletics.com is our website. And then Instagram.com/Pryde or Pryde Physical Therapy are our two Instagram accounts. And it's just a great place for us to look and see who we are, see the facility. It's almost like a virtual tour, but you also get inspired because you see things that you don't normally see. People that are trying to learn to walk again, people that are having great, significant success on the health and fitness side.
Got it.
So reach out to us there.
Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit about, I know you wanted to talk about healthcare a little bit and kind of
Mhm.
what's missing and what's the missing piece of all of that and how that it relates to obviously Pride Athletics and how you can kind of, fill that void in a sense.
Yeah, I think just being proactive. A lot of times right now, I think the missing piece is the proactiveness of healthcare. Healthcare right now is very reactive. And a simple example is this, if I have a headache, right, and it's ongoing, I am prescribed something, I don't know, Vicodin for like migraines, or sorry, for like, severe pain, right? Tylenol, ibuprofen. But what those medications do necessarily is they treat the symptom, right? But they don't necessarily treat the reason as to why you're experiencing headaches. Now, people experience headaches for a variety of reasons. It could be that you're just dehydrated. The average person who's walking around today does not drink anywhere close to the amount of water that they're drinking.
Mhm.
A solution can be that simple. It can be, hey, you know what? You need to drink close to a gallon of water a day for 2 weeks. And some of
Okay.
these pains are going to be alleviated. But our goal in medicine, I think, is we're very proactive and we're prescribing a way out of things. And I know there are good physicians out there. I know, that are pushing people and making them aware about all the other proactive things that they could be doing to make themselves feel better. But we just don't have the time,
Yeah.
any clinic is also a business, and they generally are getting one patient to the next, to the next, to the next. And the difference between our clinic is we're a one-on-one model. We spend a lot of time with our people, and we're really are focused on the education piece as well. So not only are we really proactive in the sense of, hey, here's how to prevent injuries, here's how to treat your body, in the exercise and physical therapy space, but we're really educational and intentional about communicating the importance of a good sound education in how to properly manage yourself and your systems. So we do hydration charts, we'll do vitamin charts, we give people information on proper stretching mechanics and routines that they can do morning, day, night, and then recommend, hey, you should be in the gym at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Mhm.
And outside of here, there's other things that you should do for self-care. Get massages regularly, preferably twice a week or twice a month, rather. I would love to be twice a week
Me
for
too.
massages.
I was going to say
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yes. And that massage therapist is gonna be like, yes, send me the business. But yeah, I mean, 2 times a month, you should really go down and do some self-care things. And even something simple as getting a pedicure, manicure, where they just massage your feet, things to alleviate stress, because stress ultimately is the greatest, catalyst for any of these health illnesses and ailments over a large, period of time. Stress does things to our bodies. It floods our body with different
Mhm.
endocrine uh, byproducts, and we're not made to handle stress. But people metabolize it, they hold it in, and they just don't do anything about it because of time.
Now, what about youth health and wellness?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. See, that is something I'm very, very passionate about. And the reason is this: these kids are our future. And, when I was young, and I'll tell you, so when I was young, I moved to the United States at 5 years old, right? I didn't speak a word of English, and I was thrown into first grade.
Oh,
Um, but within a year, I can speak English very fluently. I mean, I didn't have English lessons or things like that. So that's the crazy thing about kids when they're so young is they're
yeah.
sponges,
It can
and
absorb everything. Yeah.
everything. Yeah. And so I'm really passionate about this because we get kids in at 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. They look up to our coaches, and they're just so motivated and they're willing to do anything. And then in these sessions, when you start speaking to them about the importance of health and wellness and listening to their parents and eating vegetables and different things like that, they really, really take it to heart. And if we can train young people to transition into early adolescence in a healthy mindset, right, and transition into young adulthood, going off to college, understanding how to work out, how to eat, how to stretch. These are people that are going to love health and wellness when they're busy parents and find time to do it because they've learned to love it, right? So this is like, I think the best piece of it is, yeah, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, so sometimes people, they rebound and they cycle through different, diets and different schemes for wellness. But I think if you really focus on the young people and make it a priority to teach them going through school how it is to be healthy and do it appropriately, teach them to be proactive, I think it just comes out to be a healthier population. So maybe we can't fix it today, but if we focus on the young people, we definitely will be able to fix it, 10, 15 years from now.
And at what age do you start working with kids?
We have, honestly, like I have a 6-year-old son, and we've been doing things since he could crawl, and the cool thing about this is this. I always say to parents, if your kid doesn't have the attention span, because we do hour sessions, they're not ready to start. But what you can do with your kids is you can play with them, there's different, Amazon has all these different agility things, toys, and exercise designed toys that people can play with their kids. And again, parents find time to play with your kids. It's good for you. It's good for them, right? The other thing is, when we start here, generally, I think 7 is a good age for us. We're looking at mobility, reaction drills. We're looking at just simple things to keep them engaged and have fun. This age is not necessarily like, hey, work out.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get the most out of you. It's really engaging them and teaching them to love something. Love movement, love running, love jumping, and along the way, teaching them how to jump, how to land, how to change directions, how to have proper balance. And then once they get in love with the fundamentals, at age 10, 12, 13, we can really then create a fitness structure in the new age model of wellness. So they're learning lifelong wellness versus just a sport.
Got it. Now, what about for the parents that are bringing the kids? What do you have for them to do?
Oh, that is the thing. Time, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I take my kids someplace, I don't necessarily have the time to go and do something that for myself and then come back. So in our environment, we've created a situation where you can drop off your kids in that room for a class and you come to this room for your own class. So we have fitness models for boot camps. We have semi-private classes. So this is a group of 4, 2 to 4 is a semi-private model. And then we have one-on-one training. So parents can do personal training. The personalized training, I think, is the best value in the sense that you get something that's created for you, for your goals, for your need. But on the other hand, too, the positive thing about the group training is you're doing it with friends. You're doing it with parents that are also dropping their kids off at the same time. There's camaraderie in that sense, and a sense of teamwork and celebration of each other. So either one's a great option. But if we solve the time issue for parents and offer them something in that same space that they're dropping their kids off, it creates a family dynamic where everybody worked out together. You guys go home, have dinner, and kind of go on with your day.
Got it. Interesting. All right. Now, would you also say, the difference, if you can talk a little bit about that, I should say the group classes and the one-on-one personal training sessions I'm sure it's a better fit for certain individuals, but what would you advise?
Yeah. So I think it's like, all right, what are your goals? If there are really specific goals, or do you just want to generally, hey, I just want to get my heart rate up and I don't care how I do it. I just want to lose some calories or burn some calories. The other thing too is what's your personality type? Sometimes people come in and honestly, they don't want to work out with other people, not like they don't like people, but maybe they're subconscious about certain aspects of their frame. So we generally say, hey, maybe you start out in a one-on-one situation. We'll go 6 weeks, you'll get confident, and then we'll move you to a semi-private model. The good thing about the semi-private model or the group model, when we get to about 10 people in a class, is the affordability, right? we're looking at $15 or so in in the group for 10, maybe $35 or so a class, a session for the 2 to 4. And generally speaking, a $75 rate for the one-on-one. But our goal really for us is, can we get people to not one, be priced out of what we're doing, but also be inclined to do this more often, right? So that's a really big difference. I think it comes down to price point for a lot of people and how they get involved.
Got it. And would you also talk about the fitness training tying in to the physical therapy model a little bit?
Yeah. So with fitness training, we kind of mentioned briefly in the beginning is, I want to be able to work out. All right. That's my first thing. Hey, I'm 38 years old. I want to start. But 3 or 4 weeks in, I started getting some back issues. Right. At a normal facility gym, you just then have to stop training and go to your physical therapist. So you go to your doctor, get a script, and then go see a physical therapist. In our model, you can see a physical therapist around the corner. They can assess you, right? Either it's an acute injury, you need to stop, we can get you some kind of mild treatment. Then you go see your primary care, they give you a script and you can continue with physical therapy. But the idea is to create a situation where you don't necessarily have to stop your working out, but then we can find the root cause of why is it that you got injured and address those issues. And then you continue with both. So sometimes people are continuing with physical therapy and exercise training. The exercise training now is modified as recommended by the physical therapist to not aggravate the injury, but they can still work out because there's other things that aren't affected, right? So by molding those two together, you kind of create a situation where people do not now get like a negative feedback from working out and say, I don't want to do that because every time I do that, I always get hurt and stop. They understand that potentially they're only getting injured because of some of the imbalances that they've gained from a sedentary lifestyle. And with the help of the physical therapist, they're going to get some treatment for those issues, get those issues fixed, and then still continue in the same space with the confidence that their physical therapist is overseeing their exercise protocol under the same roof. So again, we're solving the time issue, but then there's the confidence in the training because being seen by medical professional, overseen by medical professional, to where together, people are going to ultimately succeed.
Got it. And then you like motivation, environment, visualization. Those are some key things that kind of help you and help people succeed that you kind of instill in them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the environment for us is very huge. You want to go to a place where you're celebrated, right? And when we come in and people come in, we're always like, hey, Jill, how you doing?
It's like
and
Cheers. Remember that show? Everybody knows your name.
Yep. I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody knows your name. And it's that feeling. I remember as a kid watching that show and you get goosebumps, right? It's like,
it's so true.
But it's like, when you celebrate people and they come in, and people, and their family, their kids, right? You have a basis of knowledge of just who they are. They're going to succeed. When we talk about visualization, if you can, as you're coaching, it's a huge part of coaching. I want you to visualize where you're going to be in 6 weeks, Jill, right? I want you to tell me how it feels like. I want you to speak on it. And people are going to start moving because the pain that they're feeling now doesn't become the focus. What they are going to be and the celebration of that result becomes the focus, and they transcend the hardship of today.
Got it.
Yes.
And did you want to embark a little more on visualization and how that can really help with the recovery process?
Yeah, a visualization is huge because if I can see where I am going to be, right? If I can close my eyes and taste it, if I can, even sometimes people meditate, and sometimes people pray, and sometimes people, what that really does is it stimulates your mind to grow, right? It stimulates your mind to reach, and you start focusing on the inhibitions of and the limitations of where you're at, and you start reaching and striving for the possibilities. And I think the mind is one of the strongest and most forceful things in the universe, and that's ever been created, And if you look at, we sometimes will look at, like stars and the galaxies and go, wow, that's so awesome. But there's enough neurons in your brain, right, as there are stars in the galaxy. you know, and when you look into someone's eyes and someone's spirit, you know, if you can just disappear into who they are, there's this vast, just openness of just possibilities. And if you can stimulate their mind, and it becomes this thing where um, it's it's one of the even with our kids when we're coaching things, it's like
Yeah.
visualization will send you to places, you know, that you're supposed to be, that you're meant to be. And a lot of times, you know, in the past we've talked about, you know, all the motivation you have is already within you. And it is, you know, you're created with everything that you'll ever need to succeed, everything you ever need to accomplish anything that you want to be. And if it's been accomplished once, it's accomplished. You're able to accomplish it again, right?
Yep.
But it's visualization forcing the mind to see where you want to be, to feel it. It just opens up different pathways, and the mind then starts innervating different nerves and cells, and people generally tend to respond to their therapies and grow.
And what are some of the setbacks that most people kind of fall into? And could you talk about how you can really help that and overcome them?
Yeah, so I think doubt, you know, in our minds, you know, I think we always have this imposter syndrome that we've talked about in the past. Self-doubt is one of the biggest killers of any dream, any success. But I think the important thing to tell people or to see is like, if you never try, you ultimately fail, you know? And the weird conundrum in sense is people are afraid of failure, so they don't try. But if you don't try, you're going to fail, right? So if you're really afraid of failure, take that first step, right? And move, because by not doing anything because you're afraid of failure, you're ultimately going to fail. So failure should really push us to start walking, to start moving. But self-doubt is one of those things that also takes a village to get people out of, right? If in your innermost thoughts you're doubting yourself, and then you go, hey man, what do you think about that? They go, I don't know, man. I don't know if you're gonna make
Yeah.
it. It really compounds those inner voices. And it's the inner voices that then destroy someone's progress. Because when you're away from everybody else in your
Then
quiet
there's, yep.
space, are you being motivated? So if we can attack the self-doubts, if we can love people, if we can share, even like we talk about vulnerabilities and struggles that we've had, in these moments of self-doubt, someone goes, hey, you know what, Joe was telling me about the story where she tore her ACL or she did this and that. Man, and look at her, she's doing great, you know? But she shared some struggles with me, and I'm feeling the same way, but I know I am not alone. And in those self-doubt moments, you still have this village of people that can pull you out of it. And on our side, we tell stories about, you know, patients that have been in there, in the positions that the current patients are, and we have a council of patients. My favorite most thing to do is take a young lady who's, let's say, torn an ACL, and pair her up with a young lady who is, you know, a year removed. And these young people come in and they counsel each other, and it's some of the most magical things, because I can tell you you're going to be fine because I've done this, I've trained people. But it's like, no, but for you to sit down with someone who's in your age group, right, who has had some of the same trials and tribulations and then has succeeded, and they're telling you it's okay. That's one of the most powerful things. And I love what we do with our clinic. We have people counsel other people through that same exact injury.
Well, at this time, we're almost out of time. So let's quickly just talk about how people can access your therapy services, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So with our therapy access, I want to speak to you direct access. What people don't know is that you can literally come to a physical therapist, especially in the state of Michigan. And we have this thing called direct access, and you can see a physical therapist for 10 visits or a span of 21 days without a prescription from your from your doctor, right? So you could come into any clinic in Michigan and go see a physical therapist, start training and start healing. And then in that time space, go see your doctor and get a script for those things. And even though you've been going for those 10 visits, you can still bill it to your insurance retroactively.
Oh, wow.
It's a really cool tool. It's called Direct Access. Most people in the country have this for most major insurance carriers. And it's such an amazing tool because it might take you 3 weeks to get into your primary care physician, right?
Yeah.
But if you get direct access to a physical therapist, that's an amazing tool that we can use to get you started on your journey back to recovery.
Perfect. And how can we reach out to you for more questions, for details, and to book a session?
Hey, prydeathletics.com is the website. Prydept.com is the physical therapy site. You can find us on Instagram at Pryde Athletics, @Pryde Athletics. And then we can download our app through Google or the Apple Store and book some fitness classes. Or if you're driving down Michigan Ave in Southeast Michigan in Canton, stop by and see us in person.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ivan. We appreciate it. And looking forward to the next time we get to speak. And don't forget Pryde, Pryde. Just want to point that out. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so much.
You have a
All
great
right.
day. And to everyone else
You have a great
listening,
week.
stay tuned. You too.
All right. Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.